All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my first ever podcast. I'm excited to start this off. I'm very excited about the guest I have today. I'm a real estate agent here in San Diego. Of course, your host, Tino Velasquez. And I got a very special guest today, my lender, Brandon Martinez. Thanks for being here today, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. I've been planning this. I've been planning this for about 3-4 months now, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do a real estate podcast where, first-time home buyers or people that haven't bought in a while, they're able to warm up to it again and be like, oh, you know what? I forgot about that, or that's a good tip. It's something for them to take away for this. But yeah, you know what? I was also going to do an introduction for you, man. This is only an hour-long podcast, and so I was going to do an introduction with you with all your accolades, but it took up like 30 minutes.
No.
So I had to scrap that, man. So if you could do me a quick favor and just introduce yourself, let the people know how long you've been in the real estate industry and, just things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure. So Brandon Martinez, I've been doing this for about 21, almost 22 years now. Started out at one company, and from there I was there for about a year. And then within about 6 months, I basically broke every record at that company. And then I ended up going to another company called First Financial, and I was there for about 2 years. By that time, I was probably like 23 years old.
Okay.
And then I was the top guy there, and there was about 500, 600 of us there.
Okay.
And then that's where I ended up meeting my business partner today, Troy, at First Financial. And then from there, we ended up opening West Coast Funding when I was 24. And then by 34, we were basically the largest brokerage in San Diego County. And then from there, flash forward, we basically split for a couple of years. He went one way, he went left, I went right. And then about a year ago, we realized, hey, you know what, we're better together, and let's try to get this thing started again. So we brought back him and I, and then obviously the core group of guys who we had for the 15 years that we were together. And then from there, we brought all those guys back, but then we also added Casey Peak in the mix as well. So basically, it's Troy, Casey, and I. So
right on.
Things are going good. It's we're rebuilding from what we had,
okay.
But I think that's the fun part of it, right? To try to get back to where we were. We were funding 300-400 deals a month. So
300 to 400 deals a month.
and we were doing that with like 15-20 guys. So
that's ridiculous.
we had a bunch of just killers. So right now we're just trying to find the right mix and trying to get ready for what's going to happen, because it's going to explode, and it's already happening, right?
Yeah,
you saw
definitely.
it on January 21st. It was like it just exploded.
My phone was ringing off the hook.
Crazy.
I'm sure yours was too.
It's crazy.
Yeah. No, a lot of things changing, and I want to get into that as we progress here. What's your outlook on the current situation on the mortgage, especially on the mortgage side of the things. But yeah, I was introduced to you through Laura Foss, my old team lead. This was probably 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, probably something like that. Maybe a little
more. This was a while ago, and man, everybody was just hyping you up like, oh, that's Brandon. This guy's he knows his stuff when it comes to loans, man. And I was like, all right. I didn't even know how to spell real estate. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, And one day I was just like, I was having issues with the lender I was working with, and I was just like, man, I feel like these can be avoided. I feel like I would talk to other people, and they were just like, man, your lender is not not solid. Like you need to get a new lender. And everybody was hyping you up and saying that. I was like, you know what? Let me see what the hype is about. So I remember reaching out. And I'm like, hey man, can you help me with this? And that was it. The rest was history. We've been working together we've done numerous deals together, and it's just I'm gonna big you up a little bit here, but I keep working with you because for a number of reasons. The service. I can't tell you how many of my clients are like, hey man, that Brandon guy, he's on his stuff. He's on his stuff. He's actually, asking me for this, that, third. I'm like, and it could be a little bit overwhelming, but we're trying to hurry up and do things as much, because if something unforeseen happens, we got a little bit of time on the back end. So, definitely quick. The service is, second to none. And so like I think we have a good working relationship.
For sure.
I think we could relate too, because you're a girl dad, I'm a girl dad. I mean, and your what am I trying to say? Your work ethic, man. This morning you were up at 5 in the morning. We were texting, talking about real estate.
Yeah.
I think these are the things that people don't see in the background that happen, and why that's important. It's important because if they go to, I'm going to mask the name here, but if they go to, Federal of Navy.
Sure.
If they go to Federal of Navy, you think their loan officer is going to be up at 4 in the morning, handling the stuff, and it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
And I think that, honestly, that's the biggest thing, right? Is like being available. When I branded myself, the whole 24/7 thing, and I get it. Now everybody says they're 24/7, but at the end of the day, there's one person that started that, right? And I think the biggest thing is at the end of the day, if your customers have an issue at 10 o'clock at night and they can't sleep, they're not calling me at 10 o'clock at night to ask me how my day was going, right? They're calling me because there's a legitimate concern, there's a legitimate issue. And my whole job is to get up out of bed and figure out how do we fix that, how do we alleviate your concerns, right? And I think the biggest thing is that Federal Navy, I think you said, right? Federal Navy, right? They're 8 to 5, right? So your clients can't sleep at night at 10 o'clock at night, and they're going crazy of like, I don't know what this is, or I don't know what that is, and they're freaking out. And at the end of the day, they got to wait till 8 o'clock the next morning or 9 o'clock the next morning. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? Our whole job is to do whatever we got to do to make sure these guys are comfortable. It's their biggest investment of their lives. It's their biggest investment they'll most likely ever have, right? So our whole job is to make sure that we can take all the legwork out of it for them, and at the end of the day, just make it as easy as possible. That's our entire job. How do we make it as easy as possible?
Right. No, you're 100% right. I think our like I said, our work ethic is similar, because I've been submitting offers at 2 in the morning. I'm up late doing, and I'm not trying to hype myself up, but this is just what the people don't see in the background. Like, hey, we're really working for you. We're really working to get your offer approved, to get your loan funded. We know the people on the other side because we've made connections with them. We have that bond, and it's like, hey, man, let's do a deal together. I know you're solid. Me and my team are solid.
For sure.
And it's just they're more open and more accepting to like, oh yeah, these people, I know they're going to close. Let's work with them.
For sure. And I think one of the biggest things you said right there that caught my attention was the word connections, right? I think the biggest thing is that what I've prided myself is all the connections that I have built in the industry, right? And the reputation that goes along with it of like, hey, Brandon's got his hand on the file. Like, I know it's going to get done. Let's go ahead and accept this offer. And I think that's what helps separate us as well from the competition of, at the end of the day, when the deal's with us, people know it's going to fund and they know they're going to get the home, right? So I think that's the biggest difference is working with us as well compared to Joe Blow or whatever, right? Where they don't know Joe Blow, and at the end of the day, Joe Blow maybe has deals that go sideways, right? Because they don't know the guidelines from A to Z, all the ins and outs. Because at the end of the day, dude, you've been in the office, like, loans are complex. Like, it's not just everything
one size fits all.
Dude,
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all, dude. So I think our biggest thing is that one of the things that I've always prided myself on is I've been able to figure out how to fit square pegs into round holes, right? That's my whole thing, right? If somebody calls and they say, hey, this deal doesn't work, I'm sitting there in my head just like, okay, how can I do this or how can I do that? How can I twist it and fit it in? Definitely. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is that for some crazy reason, I have this ability to do that. And a lot of people can't think outside the box like that, but it's always worked for me.
Right. And I could definitely attest to that. I mean, I've given you like a wet Kleenex and said, hey, fix this, make this whole. And you've literally done that. And it just, like I said, I can give you a file and turn my back and know that it's going to get done.
For sure.
And so that alone, for a first time home buyer, they don't know what's going on in the background, and it's already a stressful situation, So I don't like to burden them with, hey, actually, your mortgage payment, we quoted you at 3,000, but now it's going to be 3,600. There's an issue with the lending. That's never happened to me with you. And I mean, I put you in group text with my clients. So if they have that question at, hey, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, if they're wondering, hey, can I afford bottle service this weekend? It's going to be $300, $500. My payment is going to be low, like Brandon said. It's not going to change. Okay, cool. Let's do that. It's not a worry in their mind. I mean, I know where you live. I know if you don't answer your phone, I'm knocking on your door.
I think that's the unfortunate part. Everybody knows where I live. Everybody knows. Everyone knows.
And so I always tell my clients, I know where this guy lives. It's going to get done.
Yeah. Well, just last week we had an issue with your client, and they couldn't figure out the transaction history and printing it with the URL at the bottom. What did I do? You called me, and I was like, dude, don't worry about it. Where am I going to go? I'm going to go to the Navy. I'm going to go to the base with them. And I went to the base, went to the gas station. The client picked me up, and we went to the bank and printed it out. And 5 minutes later, and it was done. But at the end of the day, it was like, why? He had a task, right? He couldn't figure it out. So let's just do it together and just knock it out. It takes 30 minutes. Let's knock it out. And at the end of the day, they're going to be happy that I took the time out of my day. I had just literally left the gym too, and I called you, and I was like, dude, I smell terrible, but I'll go. And they're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, cool.
Right.
So we went, we knocked it out, and we got docs the next day.
Yeah.
So it was easy.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that, man. You did meet up with my client. You went to the bank with him.
Yeah.
Again, this is service that you can't find anywhere else.
For sure.
You can't find anywhere else. And again, I'm not saying this so you guys could be thankful. I'm just saying this like, hey, we really truly care about you and your real estate goals, and we're gonna do everything possible to make that happen. So yeah, man, thanks again for that.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for that.
And I think the biggest thing too, right, is that one of the things that you said is, hey, they give good service, right? Everybody answers their phone now, right? Everybody answers their phone. Every lender is going to answer the phone, especially right now, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of them are hurting for the business, so they're going to do whatever they can to try to get that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, especially where it is now, you got to take it one step further than just answering the phone, right? Like I said, you got to go to the bank, right? Sometimes I got to go to the bank. Sometimes you got to, do other things where it's like, hey, you know what? Well, maybe I got to quick or speed up my turn times, right? Maybe I got to do, 10-day escrows all the time, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you got to be different than the competition right now, because at the end of the day, there still are a lot of people out there, and there are some good ones, but there are some really bad ones too, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, and I think that's the other thing too, is that agents especially, right? And I think one thing that you've always been great at is that you've always tied your horse to the right cart, right? And I think at the end of the day, you tie your horse to the wrong cart in this business, like, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have, you're going to get in trouble sometimes.
100%. I always tell, especially newer agents, I'm like, hey man, you're only as strong as your lender.
Sure.
You're only as strong as your lender. No matter how tenacious you are, no matter how good of a work ethic you have, if your lender is trash, I mean, let's just call it what it is. If he's trash, the deal's going to go south.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen. Your clients are going to look at you like, hey, you referred me to this guy.
For sure.
He's your lender.
Absolutely.
And now you look bad. And it's like, man. So I can honestly say I've never had that happen. Yeah. I've never had that happen with you. And I think, again, that's why we have a good working relationship. And things have been really good for us through our entire relationship, professional relationship anyways. You mentioned something, and I want to go back to it, because again, these are little points that the average person doesn't know, and they're not expected to know. You said you can do 12-day escrows. So for those of you who don't know, from the time your offer gets accepted to the time you get the keys, basically the deal's over. You get the keys. That's the escrow period. I want them to hear it from your mouth. From these big banks like or credit unions like Federal Navy or America Bank, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What is their typical turnaround time. What's your typical escrow period?
I think it's 30 days for them, and I think, like the credit unions, we actually got a deal last night, or it was the day before, and finally got all the docs in yesterday. And long and short of it, they were supposed to close. They were working with the credit union. They were supposed to close tomorrow. There was an issue regarding insurance, and the bank didn't accept something where it was just like, that's crazy. So they sent everything over. Everything was like a point lower than what they were getting over there at the credit union. And we're just going to transfer everything over. We have the engineer report. We'll transfer the appraisal over. And we need 7 days start to finish. So last night, Yesenia and Kristen as well, they were working at 9:15 to get everything inputted into the bank. We got it all inputted. 15 minutes later, the disclosures were signed. Everything was uploaded directly to underwriting last night, and then by the time we woke up this morning, it was already fully approved.
Jeez.
So we'll have the insurance today. We'll get it put in place today, and then we'll get the CD out today and start that period, and it'll be a 7-day escrow. So, but that's not always super typical, right? Like I prefer not to do them like that if I don't have to, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like we can.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is that when I started branding myself 24/7 and trying to figure out how to differentiate myself years ago from the competition, at that point in time, basically the banks were doing like 21-day escrows, right? And then it was like, okay, well, how do we...
And that was considered fast, right?
Yeah, that was fast, right, back then. And that's when I kind of first started getting into purchases. And because I'm still pretty new to that game too, right? I'm probably 4 years into purchases. But I think, and our whole thing was, okay, cool, they're doing 21 days. All right, well, if we have to differentiate ourselves, then let's go 17 days, right? So then we started mastering like the 17 days. And then at that time, with the connections that we had at the banks, that we'd had a meeting, I'm like, look, I want to consistently do 14 days. And they were like, well, that's pretty quick, like this and that. I'm like, okay, well, at the end of the day, you can do it, right? You can do it.
Yeah.
You can 100% can do it. So then we literally went from 14 days, mastered that. Then it was like, hey, that's not fast enough. We got to go faster. How do we go faster? Then we started doing 12 days, and it was like, it's not fast enough. I want to go faster. So then we were the first ones in San Diego County that started doing 10-day escrows. And we were doing those things consistently at like 10 days. And honestly, at the end of the day, I would rather every single deal that we do be a 10-day escrow than a 15 or a 20 or a 30 or whatever. Because honestly, I think the biggest thing too is that there's no time to think either, right? And I think when people get in their heads and they're thinking about this, that, and the other, then it's like they get scared, right?
Yeah.
As they should, right? It's a big deal. You're signing your name on a dotted line for $750,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever it is, right? Again, like I said before, it's their biggest investment of their lives. So I think at the end of the day, if we can speed up the process, we can take the legwork out of it, and we can also extract all the thinking that comes along with that, then that thing just flies through. They don't have time to think, and at the end of the day, everybody's happy. They got the keys. They're having a beer on their couch, watching the game, or doing whatever, and I promise you they'll never worry about that ever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. So
you hit it right on the head with that. I always tell people, like, especially like newer agents too, it's like the agent's like, hey, they haven't signed this, or they're not doing what I'm asking them to. And, I'm like, hey, have you ever been on the opposite side? Have you ever purchased a home? Most new agents haven't, and so they don't know the feeling.
Yeah.
They don't know that they're not emotionally tied to it. They just know the steps. They know it's a transaction. They know what they got to do.
Sure.
But the other person is like, man, they got all this stress from it could be the wife. Hey, I want this. I want new couches. I want this. Like, oh, sure. Jesus. So, it's very taxing on them emotionally. And just like you said, like, hey, the shorter we can make that process, you'll blink your eye and it'll be done.
For sure.
It'll be done. And it's not like we're pushing these people into doing something that they don't want to do. Because I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I've never had somebody say, Tino, I shouldn't have purchased that home.
For sure.
Why didn't you talk me out of it? I've always had the opposite. Hey, thank you for, giving me that little boost of confidence, or pushing me over the edge a little bit. Like, hey, this was a good investment. And yeah, 100% of my clients have always. I've never had one person regret their decision.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you 100%. The longer it is, it's just more painstaking. Just more pain. Let's just do it and get it over with. It is
Absolutely awful. Dude, the first house I ever bought, I was 21 years old, and I bought a condo down here in the gas lamp, and it was awful. I still remember I was literally signing the loan docs, and I'm like, I just want to fucking. Oh, can I say that or no? Oh, can I say that?
Let it rip.
I just want to fucking throw up.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awful, dude. And every other, even as I just grew and I bought more and more and more, and it's like, dude, every single time, it's like, dude, this shit sucks, man. Like, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah. And I do it for a living, right? And it's like, I already know, like, oh, it's fine. Like, everything's going to work, right? Like, everything's good. I know that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine being on the other side of things where, dude, some of these people literally have no goddamn clue. They have no clue.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, to go into it like that, like, dude, I would be sick. It's crazy. Yes. And I think, honestly, that's why it's like, no, we'll do it. We'll take the legwork out of it for you. We'll do all the thinking. We'll do this. We'll do that. Let us deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely taking, like, my goal is always to, hey, and I always frame it like this, like, hey, buying a home is a stressful process. There's no doubt about it. There's no way I'm going to take all of the stress out of this process. Some of it's going to hurt.
Sure.
It's the nature of the beast, but let me take on as much stress off your plate as I can. Let me carry that on my shoulders, So I try to make it as easy for them as possible. And I'm generally the first one to meet with the client and, go over the housing process with them from A to Z.
Yeah.
And so after I do my initial buyer's consult with them, I can't tell you how many people have been like, man, thank you for that. Thank you. Like, you answered questions I didn't even know I had. Like, I had no clue about this. I feel more confident, and I do want to move through with this process. At the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to move through, but after what you just told me, I feel more confident.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, dude, you can't lose. Dude, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't own all the stuff that I own, right? Like, and that's, right. And don't get me wrong, dude. I was in my 20s, dude, when I first started, and it was like, and then you're basically in low 20s, and you're just getting bundles of cash that's sent to you, and you're like, what the hell? Like, this is amazing, right? Like, this isn't really real life either, right? And it was like, dude, I remember my dad was like, this isn't reality, like, and I was like, dude, I was doing dumb stuff, and It was like. But when you hand, a 21-year-old kid, $250,000, $500,000, it's like, there's a lot of money, man. So I was like, I was doing a lot of dumb stuff. And then, as I got older and, my son was born and all that, then it was kind of like, oh, wait, I guess I got to
throttle back a little bit. Yeah.
More serious about it all. And
like,
my kids changed my life.
Oh, man, 110%. I think that, like, that's another thing, man. Like, what you just said right now, like, we connect on so many levels because I bought a house at 21 as well. And I still own, fast forward, I still own that home, and it's the best financial decision I ever made. And at that young age, 21, 22, I was already making double my mortgage.
Yeah.
So I was pocketing almost, back then, man, I want to say almost $1,000, pocketing $1,000 after my mortgage was paid. And like you said, a 21-year-old with that money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of dough.
Hey,
still is to this day.
I got my job. I can get a salary for that. I'm fine. Now I got an extra $1,000. Man,
Yeah.
I was buying new shoes every week, going out, parties, doing. And now that I think about it, I'm like, man, I could have used that money to purchase another one. But I'm glad it was, I got it out of my system young. Sounds like you did too.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, now that I have my daughters, like, oh man, like, looking back on it, yeah, it was stupid, but I'm glad I'm not in that same mind state.
For sure.
I'm so glad I'm not in that same mind state. So, definitely help. Kids help. Slow you down a bit.
Yeah.
But let's move on. I want them to hear it from you. you've been doing this for years. What you said, 20 years, right?
21 years.
21 years,
22.
Jesus. You've been doing this for a long time. What are some things that you would tell like first-time home buyers, like, young first-time home buyers? What tips would you give them? They're coming into the real estate market, trying to buy their first home. What tips would you give them in order to, start this process?
For sure. I think, one of the biggest things that Troy always taught me, which obviously my partner, and that guy's he's one of the smartest people I know. I think one of the things that he always taught me is, look, if somebody can buy a house, if they could afford to buy a house, there should be zero chance in hell they should ever rent. Like zero chance. Like, I don't give a shit what it is. Mm-hmm. There should be zero chance in hell they should ever rent, right? And that's honestly one of the biggest things that I try to beat into people's heads of like, look, like if you bought this house a year ago or whatever, 2 years, 3 years ago, right? You bought it for this is what it's worth. Or at that point in time, you're spending $3,500 a month on rent, or call it $3,000, right? $36,000 a year, right? After 3 years, you're at 120,000, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Daddy just pissed away.
Right.
It's gone. Literally, it's gone.
Right.
Gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, if you have the ability to buy, you should always buy, right? I think the other thing is don't buy a car. You don't need a big car payment. It's crazy nowadays.
So you don't need a Tesla?
Dude, it's crazy. Every single car nowadays is $1,000.
Yes.
Every single car nowadays is $1,000 a month. Like, how absurd is that? It's crazy.
But it's the norm.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And that's for a $50,000 car.
Yeah.
Buy a $100,000 car is $2,000.
Nuts.
It's crazy.
Nuts.
I don't understand how people do it. It's crazy, but it's like I see it all the time, right? $1,000.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
But again, right? You don't need a $1,000 car payment, right? And if you don't need a car payment, if you don't need a car or whatnot, yes, I get it, pay cash or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, if you can keep your overhead low, or you can qualify for more, you keep your credit high. Your credit doesn't even have to be crazy high, right? You can go an FHA loan, 3.5% down. God damn, the rates on FHA loans are insane. But you go 3.5% down, you don't have to save very much money. You can borrow from your 401k. You can get a gift from family members, whatever it is, right? 3.5% is not very much money. You can figure out a way to come up with 3.5% on
you can buckle down
$500,000 condo,
you can
right?
definitely,
Like that's not a ton of dough,
right?
And then working with you, a lot of times you get closing costs covered,
right?
You just got one right now. You got a bunch of money for one of our clients right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the biggest thing is you just keep the overhead low, make sure the credit's on par or whatnot, and at the end of the day, just keep working and just keep trying to stockpile. And at the end of the day, if you have the ability to buy, you should 100% buy every single time. It's not even a question.
Gotcha.
Not even a question.
Gotcha. So
here's the other thing too, right? If you can't afford to buy here, right? One of the biggest things is that we try to push as well is like, hey, if you can't afford to buy here, cool, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But you want to know what? You can go to Arizona.
Yeah.
You can go to Utah.
Yeah.
You can go to Florida. You can go buy somewhere else, right? Or you can go buy a $200,000 investment, right? Go put your 20% down or whatever, 15, whatever it is, right? We had a client recently who, single woman, recently divorced. She's got a chunk of dough sitting in there, and she's just like, dude, like I can't afford it, even after putting down $200,000. Like I just can't afford anything here. And I'm like, honestly, like I get it. Like it's expensive. I get it. And it's like, look, like why don't we kind of change pace and change gears a little bit? Why don't we look at parking the money somewhere else instead of parking it in your checking account, right? Because that's obviously not doing anything for you at all, right? So why don't we park the money somewhere else, right? And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, well, what about this? What about Arizona? Like, look at, you can go get yourself a nice investment property in Arizona, $350,000, right? And at the end of the day, is it going to appreciate like California? No, it's not, right? But at the end of the day, she makes $50,000 in a couple of years. It's a hell of a lot more money than she makes sitting in her checking account at Chase.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is like, look, if you can't do it here, then you can still do it somewhere else. And at the end of the day, go park the money somewhere else and go let, Joe Blow or Johnny, whoever it is, right, go pay off your house for you.
Right.
And I think that's the whole thing, right? Is like, let somebody else pay it off. Let someone else make those payments, right? She has the money to do so, so why not do it? So right now we're looking in other spots right now, like Arizona, Texas, different areas like that. Texas is cool. It's just the taxes are just so high over there.
Yeah. So just to recap, basically you said live within your means.
For sure.
Live within your means. If you can afford to buy,
which is hard to do in San Diego, right?
Oh my God!
Because everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. Here.
Everybody. I always tell people too. I don't care how much money I make. Like, what's my car payment? I think it's under $400.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride that thing till the wheels fall off. I don't care if I make $1 million in 1 year. I don't care. I'm gonna ride that thing till the wheels fall off. I'm not trying to impress nobody.
For sure.
And I say when I was younger, that was definitely not the case.
No.
It was definitely, I had to have the nicest shoes, the name brand shirt. Now, I don't care now.
Yeah.
And it's so liberating, man. It's so liberating, not caring what other people think.
It's all fake.
It is.
It's all fake.
It's
all fake.
Once you realize, it's a weight off your shoulders.
For sure.
It's a weight off your shoulders. So yeah, definitely. If you can afford to buy. Live within your means. Don't go out and get a huge, nice luxury car if you don't need to. I don't know who needs to. And explore other options. Like, you don't have to buy here in San Diego. You don't have to buy wherever you live. If the cost of living is too high, look at other investments in other states. And yeah, just with time, you'll reap the rewards.
For sure.
You'll definitely reap the rewards.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point, man.
Dude, yeah, Florida's awesome, dude. I did great in Florida. I did great in Arizona. I did great in Utah. Like, you don't have to do it in California, right? And it's like you can do it in other states, and those other states are still going bananas too.
Right. No, 100%. So we just covered some tips for first time home buyers. What would you say is the biggest the biggest detriment that you've seen for first time home buyers? Like a lot of them always run into this problem, or something that could have been avoided, like
Loaded with debt.
Yeah.
But I also get it too, right? Like, it is outrageous. It is crazy. I was telling my girlfriend yesterday, I was like, I left the office, I was starving, and I was like, I'm just going to run over here. I was in Bonita. I'm not going to name the place by any means, right? And I go in there and I'm like, I'll do whatever. I did like a Costco bottle of water, whatever, the Arrowhead water or whatever, and I got a prosciutto sandwich on a croissant roll. It was $23.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't even believe that I literally just paid $23 for a little tiny croissant roll with prosciutto that they probably bought from Costco, and they threw it into a croissant. And I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous.
We're gonna sound so old here.
That's what I was gonna say. I honestly feel it because I'm so goddamn old now.
We're gonna sound so old, but I remember $20 as a kid. Man, that thing, that was taking you places.
Yeah.
That was lasting you. You weren't just getting one meal.
No, dude, it's ridiculous. And it's like my son, they don't ask for $20. He's like, hey, can I have $100? I'm like, fuck, $100? Like,
right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, for $100, he can't even go grab a dinner with his, little girlfriend and whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the new norm.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
That's the new norm. And I'm just like somewhat of a health freak. So I try to, meal prep as much as I can. And I don't do it for the cost savings. I more so do it for the health benefits. But there is those times where I'm like, man, I'm running late. I wasn't able to, do my thing. And so, I go out and I spend, and I'm like, damn, I just
ridiculous.
Paid $25 for this when I could have made my 5 meals for that price. And it, once you realize how much money is going out and where all your money is going, I mean, that's why people don't have money to buy a home, and it's nuts. It's nuts. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and I think again, right, it's like they're loaded with debt because at the end of the day, like, it's expensive right now. And granted, hopefully everything starts getting better, right? It seems like it's getting better already, right? Everything's kind of moving in the right direction. It seems like, just the real estate in general, right, has recently caught fire in the last 2 weeks. But, hopefully it gets better, right? Where it's like they can get out of it. People do start making more money, right? But I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is that because everybody makes good money here.
Yeah.
They all make good money, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, but also my rent is whatever it is.
Yeah.
They pay $4,000 a month or whatever. It's like, dude, it's crazy. $4,000.
I heard a quote
It's
the other
absurd.
day, and it said, America doesn't have an earning problem. It has a spending problem.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, we just mentioned a bunch of ways to like cut costs and like things that you can do. Obviously, keep more of what you've earned. But you were also bringing up, perfect segue into my next point here. January 1st, 2025, I know my phone started getting more action.
Yeah.
Getting more calls, more DMs on social media. New administration just came in. I'm seeing a ton of more activity as well. Hey, people more confident. People want to buy. They're more optimistic about the economy. You've been in several economies with several different presidents. I don't care what side you're on, the left or the right. What do you see? Where do you see the next 4 years of, or even just this year, this 2025? What's your prediction? What's your forecast for this year?
I just honestly, me personally, I think, the whole thing the last couple of years or whatever, right? That was hard on a lot of people, right? It's like I didn't do the amount of business that I'm used to doing by any means.
Right.
I was out for a couple of years as well. We can probably talk about that later as well. But I was out for a couple of years and then I came back and then I didn't do that type of the amount of business that I'm accustomed to doing, right? And then it's like, all right, cool. I'm getting traction. Then all of a sudden, like you said, it's like the first hit and it was like, what the hell?
Right.
But I think honestly, if the next 4 years are like the first 2-3 weeks of the damn year, dude, it's gonna be real fun. It'll be real fun.
We're gonna be in over our heads.
Yeah,
man.
and it's like, dude, you messaged me a couple times yesterday, and I'm like, oh shit, my bad, dude. But because we have that thing tonight. But dude, it's a lot, and even especially for me too. Like, great, thank God I got a great team behind me. And they're smart as hell, and I think that helps me tremendously. But it's a lot, right?
It is.
Because at the end of the day, it's like there's 15 Tinos calling me, 20 Tinos calling me,
Right.
25 Tinos calling me. But at the end of the day, everybody needs the same level of service that Tino number
Right.
one gets.
Exactly. I don't envy your job at all. Like, I like in the real estate industry, I like the side that I'm on. I like being the agent because I, tend to the clients, 2-3 clients here. You have, I'm guessing, upwards of 20 clients, more than 20 clients a month hitting you up. I don't even, you know what? Let's do something. By the end of this podcast, when we wrap up, look at your phone and just tell these people how many missed calls, how many texts do you have, how many emails do you have waiting for you?
See, I think that's also the other thing too, is that doing stuff like I'm doing this because I love you, right? Obviously. And I think, but for me to be pulled away from my phone for like an hour and a half, like you'll see and you'll be like, holy
It's huge.
shit.
It's huge.
And it's like, it's for me to be away from my desk or my computer for an hour during the day or my cell phone. It's like, it screws up the rest of my day because I can't get caught up because I'm just playing catch up. And it's like, dude, I'll have, 150 texts or, couple hundred emails, and it's like, dude, so it gives me anxiety just thinking about it, but at the end of the day, it's fun. But I also work at a very fast pace too, right? Like, I just get shit on and off my plate as quick as I can so I can move on to the next task. But yeah, you're right, it's a lot.
110%, man. I wasn't even gonna disclose this because I didn't think it was pertinent. But on my way here to film this podcast, I got in a car accident. I got rear-ended. The dude took off, and I was fine. It was fine. Got a little bit of whiplash, but I'm good, And I'm like, man, I'm fine. I'm glad my daughter wasn't in the car.
Sure.
But I need to go film this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. I'll fix my car later. I'll deal with the insurance. I'll deal with all that. But I need to do this podcast. It's just. We're the same, man.
But again, right? Life's filled with choices, right? Like, you could have chosen to be like, hey, like, yo, I can't make it.
Let's cancel it. Yeah.
And then in my mind, I'd be like, what the fuck? Who cares? You just got in a car accident. Fucking right? Like, but that's how I operate. That's how you operate too.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're like, yo, I'm gonna be 15 minutes late. Okay, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah. And so, like I said, our work ethic is similar, man, and I think that's why we've been able to get along so well.
Sure.
And so I like that about you, and I'm just like, I know he's always down for the betterment of me.
For sure.
Like I said, like you said, hey, just being away from something for an hour it's huge. And again, thanks for doing this.
Nah.
I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. I don't go to this might be a little TMI. I don't go to the restroom without my phone. And I'm sure we're in there doing a thing. It's like, oh man, I'm on the restroom. Like, let me get up, maybe TMI, but that's just a determination that we legit have to our clients.
Yeah.
And we were talking the other day, I think day before yesterday, you're like, hey man, these are really good people. These are really good people. I want to give them the best service. I'm gonna, do this for them. And just, that came out of you. And I'm like, you're invested. These aren't just numbers. These are people. These are good people.
For sure.
And like, you truly care about them.
100%.
Yeah.
Like 100% I truly care. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? It was that I never was ever, even when I was younger, right? It was like, one of the things that Troy and I always prided ourselves on is like, dude, if we had to do a deal for $500 just to make it happen, like, who gives a shit? Just do the damn deal,
yeah.
Right? But so many people are caught up with, oh, I got to make whatever. I got to do this or I got to do that. It's like, dude, give me a break.
Yeah.
Like, just do the deal. Do it out of the goodness of your heart. Make your $500, pay your damn cell phone bill with that or whatever.
Right.
Chalk it up as a win. And at the end of the day, guess what? Now you're going to get a referral. You might get a referral here. You might get a referral here. You might get a referral here. And guess what? Tino's going to send you another damn client.
Right.
And you'll make it up on the next one.
Right.
And I think when we started reprogramming ourselves, 15 years ago at that point probably, to start thinking like that, it was when just shit just started coming in by the truckloads of like, whoa, like, wait
Definitely.
a second. Yeah. And it was gnarly, but it's like, dude, even to this day, like that's how we think. And like, a lot of people have told me like, dude, you literally helped me like retrain how I think. And it's like, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
110%.
And same thing. It's like, with our clients, dude, damn well with the experience that we've been able to give them multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. One, they're never going anywhere else.
Right.
Ever.
Right. Why would they?
Ever. And number two, how connected they are, right? They're insanely connected. If anyone calls them and says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, where do you think they're going?
Right.
Come on.
I already have somebody. Thanks.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry. If people ask for a referral, where do you think they're telling them to go?
Right.
To you and I.
Right. Exactly.
And that's it. And it's like, dude, and again, right? It's like, if we just take care of them and do our job and do what's right as human beings, dude, it's over.
Doing what's right. I'm not a good liar, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a good liar. So every time I meet clients for the first time, I'm just 100% with them, just straight up to the point. Hey, listen, there's going to be stress. Hey, listen, you want to figure out these numbers? Let me put you in a group chat with my preferred lender. And so I always tell my clients, like, hey, you're shopping for a loan. I have people that I can connect you with to get you pre-approved and start the process. But I'd be doing you a disservice. Like, let's shop. I want to give you two people. Let's try to get pre-approved with them. And I've done that with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, this is my preferred lender. Try this guy as well.
I love it when you do that. I love it. I'm like, it doesn't even matter. They're never going to go with that other person.
And it really doesn't.
No.
It really doesn't.
Never.
We get the results back. I mean,
it's not even close.
No. And I'm just like, I've done my due diligence to my client. Like, hey, I'm giving you options. They see it. They're like, oh, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. I remember a couple years ago, we had that client where, I'm not going to mention any names, but it was a lender I used to work with. Hey, she's like, we purchased her home with that lender. This is before I was working with you. And then I was like, she's like, oh, hey, I reached out to him and, to get pre-approved again because I want to start looking again. I was like, oh, okay, right on. Like you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I still work with him, every now and then. We're not on bad terms, but let me connect you with this guy, and let's see, let's compare. You know what? I'm open to that. Let's do it. And with the other lender, it was I think it was upwards of, they needed to come in with like $30,000 down. At least that's what the other lender said. Mm-hmm. And with you, it was night and day. I'll just say that it was night and day. And she asked me, she said, hey, why was that lender asking me to come in with this amount? I said, listen, sweetheart, I have no clue. I am not a lender. I can't talk lender. I can have him explain it to you. So yeah, man, it's just like you said. Once you get that level of service, there's just no way you're going anywhere else.
Yeah, and I also think too, right? A lot of it's volume wise too, right? Like, look, if you have a lender who does one deal every month or one deal every couple months, right? Like, yeah, they're gonna try to take somebody to the woodshed. Yeah, 100%, right? Like they got to eat, so they're like, dude,
right.
At the end of the day, they're going to try to take them to the woodshed and hope that person doesn't make a second call.
Oh yeah,
to somebody like myself.
Yeah,
right. Where it's like with all the volume that we do every month, where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like I don't got to do that to you. Like I'm not doing that. Like at the end of the day, I'm fair. And I think that was one of the things I even said the other day. I was like, dude, we'll figure it out, man. Like, bro, it doesn't matter. I'm fair. Like, we'll figure it out. I had a couple of buddies call me from Havasu, and one buddy called and he's like, hey, I need to do the house. And he's like, hey, can you take care of me? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's cool. Like, I'm fair. No problem.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, his brother calls me. Yo, I got to do my house in Havasu too. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, dude, in a matter of 5 minutes, I just picked up $2.5 million in volume. Like, right. Because I'm fair and I'm not drilling them. And it's like, dude.
And I think people can see that.
Yeah.
People can see that, from the way you interact with them, from the information you give them, from the service you provide. I remember during COVID, we had a transaction. And again, I told them, I was like, hey, you're free to choose whatever lender you want. I'm going to give you my lender's info, and, let's go from there. I remember the other lender's rates beat yours marginally. It was a marginally, but they were just an online lender. They didn't have any brick and mortars. So I'm guessing that's where they were able to, beat your rate just a tiny bit. And then you said, hey, their rate's better than mine. Feel free to tell your client, tell them that. I told them that, and I said, hey, listen, again, I know this guy personally. I got his number. I've been to his house. I know where he's at. I can get in contact with him. There will never be any dead time not knowing what's going on. Oh, you know what? Long story short, he went with the other lender. Cool. Mid-transaction, I'm emailing the loan officer. I have questions I need the answers to. We need documents from them. Nothing. Yeah. I called. Nothing. I called again and finally talked to a manager. They said, oh, I said, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so.
Oh, he was gone, right?
Oh, so-and-so he's no longer employed with us anymore. Like, what? How is he not employed? He has a current transaction. Like, you guys weren't going to notify my client or me or anybody? No, we're looking at reassigning another loan officer to this deal. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I don't even want to call my client and tell him this. But I had to, man. I had to. And I'm like, listen, this is what's going on.
You know where all those roads lead back to.
This is what's going on. And so they were like, oh man, that's what do we do? I said, you know what? Let me figure it out. It's okay. Finally got somebody, instead of, hey, this guy's no longer working here, we're going to get somebody immediately. We already assigned somebody. They're catching up on the file. They'll be in touch with you. There was none of that. Long story short, escrow got delayed. We didn't close on time because of it. It got delayed. We closed like a week and a half later or 2 weeks later than expected. Now this came out of my client. When the deal was done, there was a few more headaches down the road. When the deal was done, he calls me and said, hey, listen, I regret not going with your lender. It wasn't that much that this lender had a better rate. The margin wasn't that much,
shit, you can't even buy your 3 cups of coffee that you just bought today for what the difference would have been.
No, yeah, no. He's like, but I'm almost positive that the service would have been better. And I'm like 110%, 110%. So I love getting those messages, that feedback from my client, But again, it's part of life. For
sure.
Live and learn.
For
Live
sure.
and learn. Yeah. So wrapping things up here, what we already went through. Hey, what you recommend for people looking to buy, your outlook on the whole thing. What can you tell people that think like, hey, buying is not a good option. Like there's all these costs involved. Like buying is not the way to go. I'm just going to keep renting. Like from your personal experience and from your, being a lender, like, can you talk to that? Can you, prove them right or wrong? Like what's your take on that?
I think, again, right, like I said earlier, it's if you have the opportunity to buy, you should always buy. Always, right? And again, right, let's just call it your house right now, right? How much did you buy that thing for? It's a rough estimate.
Let's say 300,000 for the sake of.
What is it worth today?
Double.
Okay. How long, right? Maybe it'd be a hell of a lot easier for you to save it up, right? Because you're really damn good at your job. But let's just say, right, the average American, right? You just made $300,000 in how many years, roughly? Ballpark it.
Let's say 5.
How many people do you know that's average American that's making $60,000 a year? Call it whatever, $65,000 a year, right? Because in a dual household, they're at $125,000, right?
Right.
How long would it take these people to save up $300,000? How long? Probably never.
Never.
Probably never.
Hell,
right?
Saving up 10 grand.
Probably never.
It's tough.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Probably never. But when you literally flip it like that of like, you did nothing. What did you do? Nothing. And shit, you probably didn't even put any money up in the house anyways, right? With a VA loan, you didn't put any money up.
Yeah.
So let's just say you didn't put any money up. You got it 5 years ago. Let's say you're able to get closing costs covered too. And you truly got into that house for $0, right? Maybe you had your deposit or whatever, $2,500, $5,000, whatever it is, right? You literally got into that house for pennies, right? And then 5 years later, you could sell it and pocket $300,000. That's crazy.
No other investment.
Dude,
No
none.
other investment. Yeah.
Literally none.
No other investment.
None.
Definitely not a savings or checking account.
None.
Like that right
right?
now.
And I think that's my whole thing, dude. Like, and I think for me, right, it was when I first started out, like, I wasn't the best dad. Like, I wasn't, dude. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you that right off the bat, right? Like, I wasn't the best dad because all I did was just live at the office. That's all I did.
Yeah.
That's all I was trying to do was make it, right? And then as I got older, I realized, shit, I don't really have much time left, right? And it's like, so I'm not like that anymore by any means. But at the end of the day, I did that so I could buy all these houses for the kids.
Right.
And that's so I'm able to leave them something, to leave my kids more than what I'm going to be left with, right? And I think that's the whole thing is that how hard would it be to save up that type of dough to leave your kids or leave, whatever, right? Dude, and that's what it's like. If you have the ability to buy.
Right.
Buy.
No, 110%. I couldn't agree with more with what you just said. Again, wrapping things up here. Last question for you here, man. You've achieved. You pretty much mastered it all, man. Starting your own business. I mean, mastering the 10-day close. I mean, you've done all these things. What's one goal that, hey, you're still striving for? What's one big thing that, hey, I haven't done this yet, but that's my goal? Like, do you have anything like that, or is there some type of vision you have for something that you haven't accomplished yet?
I think that
Tough one, I know, man.
No,
Making you
you know,
think here.
I'm just trying to figure out how to like word it.
Word it, okay.
I think when Troy and I split, right? If we're just talking business wise, right?
Business,
Personal
yeah.
is different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if we're talking business wise, it was when Troy and I split, it was like me losing a child, right? And the reason why I say that is because West Coast funding was my baby,
Okay.
right? Like that was everything. Like
Yeah.
that was everything,
Yeah.
right? And for me to be like, fuck it, I'm out. Sign it over.
Yeah.
Give me my money. I'm out. For me to do that, right? It like that shit took a toll on me for almost 2 years. Like it
Right.
was like, dude, I was fucked up, man. Like fucked up. And it was more of like, fuck, like what do I do? Like I'm bored.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, this shit sucks. And like, dude, you know, like I was out of it for almost a couple years. And it's like now our vision, our goal of like, since we got back together about, I think it's probably about 8 months ago. That's the other thing too, is like nobody even really knows, right? But I think my whole goal is like, we need to get this fucker back to where it used to be. Like, and that's literally my whole thing is like, how the fuck do we get it back to where it was? And that's literally like what consumes me all day long. Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. And it's like, dude, the other, you know, a couple months ago, we're way ahead of schedule where we should even be, you know, even a year. And shit, we did like 120 something transactions a couple months ago, which is a lot for, you know, as small as we are still, right? Yeah. And again, right, it's basically about fine tuning and getting the right pieces in, right? Like, again, right, people are going to come, people are going to go, right? And at the end of the day, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter, right? Thank you for what you did. At the end of the day, it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's life, right? It is what it is, right? There's no hard feelings. It is what it is. We move on. You move on, we move on, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're going to find that group that we had. We're going to find that group of killers again that we assemble where it's like, as soon as this shit hits, it's go time.
Yeah.
Get everybody out of our way because we're coming. We're close.
I definitely think you're on that right trajectory, man.
Close.
Definitely think you're right.
And honestly, I think the biggest thing is that we also have a third piece of the puzzle that a lot of people don't. Those guys, they kind of stay more in like the background, right? Okay. Like that's just who they are, right? And at the end of the day, like I've always kind of like going out and meeting people and doing all of that. And like that's my role, right? Right. But there's a third piece that we've added this time that he's honestly the guy's been with us forever. Casey had been with us from literally our first office, and he was sitting there just calling leads all day long. And what Casey has literally built, Casey's like us, dude. Yeah. Casey literally 100%. Has built everything just by hard work. So when we decided that we were going to do it again, it was like, hey, let's add a third piece of the puzzle. And Troy's like, I want Casey in. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I don't have any issue with that. Like, I like Casey. Right. And honestly, that motherfucker works his ass off. Like,
just as hungry as you guys.
So hungry. He's got a baby at home. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's his job. His job is to provide for his family. Right. And that dude works his ass off. Right. And that's all I can ask for, right? Because they know what they're going to get out of me. Exactly. So it's like, dude, I know what I'm getting out of them. Right. And it's like, dude. So I think it's going to be, not that it's going to be easy by any means, because none of this shit's easy. No. None of it's easy. No. But I also think that by adding a third piece to the puzzle, it's going to make it a little easier for us. Right on. But yeah. Right on. Well, man, hey, I'm excited to see this take place. You know, you guys take off. Not to where you guys were before, but even better than that, man. Yeah, for sure. I totally think it's doable, and you guys are on the right track. So I'm excited, man. Thanks for sitting down with me, doing this. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to see how many more people we can help this year. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks, man.